He haunted our dreams. He scared us into submission. He made us believe that we were in danger. He is Jeff the Killer. He haunted the days of the early internet age. Images of him and stories of him, all coming out of the internet, and from word of face as well. But people forgot to overlook one little thing. His story sucked. Like, okay, so Jeff the Killer was not exactly a great creepypasta story. In fact, it was pretty much shit. But how did this shitty story become so popular and become one of the first internet urban legends? Well, it was more not of the story, it was more of the content of what was produced from it. Nobody really knew a whole lot about the story itself. Well, completely, anyways. Um, and most of them just knew, like, the images and stuff, and dismissed the story as, well, they didn't really look much into it, is what I meant by dismissed. It was more of the scary picture that we all know and love that really made us fear him, including videos on YouTube, all other platforms. But when you read the story and remembering that it's also fake, it's hard to overlook its flaws. So, as a as a well, as a very late Halloween gift, but the USA American elections just happened, so that was pretty scary. Um, it's close enough to the scariness, so I might as well deliver on what I promised. Here it is, the original story of Jeff the Killer. And by original, I mean the original. There was actually a reboot in 2015, which I'll get to another time. But for now, here's the original source. Excerpt from a local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. Doesn't that just set the mood? After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. The ominous unknown killer. That's what they're calling it? They might as well call it something cooler. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. Isn't that kind of weird how that short sentence was structured? After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived and bravely tells his story. That's kind of like a weird little ironic thing, ain't it? He said a young boy, so I figured it might be like maybe like 8 or 9, maybe 10. I had a bad dream and I woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy. Says the boy. He should be like, says the boy who wished to keep his identity a secret. And even then, it's kind of dumb. I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. I got up and shut it once more. Oh, Lord. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light, escaping from between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. They weren't regular eyes, they were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black and just plain terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth, a long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but said it in a way that only a madman could speak. This is pretty, like, decent vocabulary for what's supposed to be a young boy. And when we say young boy, it's most likely it doesn't really specify the age, but it does like imply it's like maybe like 10 or 11 or 12. This is not like 11 or 12-year boy. This sounds like a an author desperately trying to make something of themselves. So a young I'm not going to go there. Okay. So a young boy author. Is this kid an author? That would make too much sense. Anyways, he said, "Go to sleep." And that's where the phrase comes from. Go to sleep. Which, honestly, is that not that much of a interesting one-liner. I let out a scream. I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. That's a comma. That's not the right punctuation. At least I don't think. Like I said, I'm not an English major, but he pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. Ugh. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife and it went into my dad's shoulder. He threw the knife and it went right into his shoulder? Damn, Jeff got some accuracy and some horrendous strength if he's able to throw a knife instead of it bouncing off him, bouncing off like the flesh or whatever, or like get cutting a little bit. It goes straight like ching. The man would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out of it to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing, I will never forget that face, those cold, evil eyes and that psychotic smile. They will never leave my mind. Again, that does not sound like the language a young boy would use. Police are still on the look for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description in the story, please contact your local police department. And Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad got oh, there's no indications that this is part of like a new paragraph kind of thing. Cuz like this whole like excerpt thing was like supposed to be like an excerpt. I'm sorry, excerpt or how you say it. And there's no transition. It just went right into here. This is supposed to be I think this is supposed to be like the it's supposed to be like the origin story beginning, but this was just horribly transitioned. Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Right. Jeff and his brother, Jeff and his brother Louis, Liu, Liu, okay. Couldn't complain though. A new, better house. Well, what was not to love? The what? Oh wait, no, never mind. I was supposed to say what was not capitalized, but it is capitalized. As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by. Hello, she said. I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you. Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and introduce my son. She turns around and calls her son over. Billy, these are our new neighbors. Billy said hi, and Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard. So he just ran up, hi, and then just ran away. Man, Billy a freak. They don't even have quotation marks around the word hi. Well, I'm Margaret, said Jeff's mom. Well, I'm Margaret, said Jeff's mom. And horrible punctuation as there's a. Oh, well, it's more like, well, I'm Margaret, said Jeff's mom, quotation mark. And this is my husband, Peter, and my two sons, Jeff and Louis. They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Really? Off the bat? Barbara's a little too trusting, but I shouldn't complain. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said that they would love to when Jeff and his family are done. When Jeff and his family are done packing should be when Jeff and his family were done packing. Jeff went up to his mom. Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you hadn't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid. Wow, Jeff is an asshole. Jeff, said his mother, we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now, we're going to that party, and that's final. Wow, okay. Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing he couldn't do anything. Seems like whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his bed and plopped down in his bed. He walked up to his room and plopped down in his bed. I'm sorry. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as just some random feeling. Just some random feeling. He dismissed it as some random feeling. He felt a random feeling. Oh, thank you so much for letting me know it was a feeling. I thought it was gonna be a freaking noodle thing or a freaking axolotl, but nope, it's a feeling. He felt a random feeling. I think that's called like being upset or angry, bro. Chill. Here's his mother called him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. Here's his mother called him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. Here's his mother called him down to get his stuff. I don't know, something about it seems weird. The next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. He gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it. Maybe you should see a doctor. That sounds like aneurysms. As he and Louis finished some breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus, then all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. Hey, what the hell? Yeah, what the hell, dude? The kid landed and turned back to him. He kicked the skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kid seems to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. Huh. Well. It looks like we got some new meat. Suddenly, two other kids appeared. What? An 11-year-old would freaking say, well. Looks like we got some. One was super skinny and the other was huge. Yeah, suddenly two kids appeared. Sorry. Well, looks like we got some fresh meat. Suddenly, two other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other was huge. Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith. Jeff and Louie looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face and you would expect a sidekick to have. And he's Troy. They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. Jesus, dude. Chill with that. And I, said the first kid, am Randy. Now, for all the kids in the neighborhood, there is a small price for bus fare, if you catch my drift. Louis stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. Oh. Wait. A little kid? No, don't get me wrong. I know, like, the influence that parents have in the home and for, like, abusive parents and all that stuff. I get all that. I get all of that. But it still doesn't make a whole lick of sense. Um, uh, oh, my brain hurts. And there's Troy, and then there's Keith, and they're working for Randy, who is 11 years old. Wait, about 12, 1 year younger. Oh no, he's 12 years old, and he's got goons with him already, and now one of his friends has a knife pulled on one of the other people, on Louis. Like, what the hell? That guy's one hell. Randy is one hell of a Disney Channel villain. My God. Tis. I'd hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems we must do this the hard way. The kid walked up to Louis and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong, a burning sensation. Again, that was probably just anger or frustration. Now it was true. He stood up, but Louis gestured to him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. Listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet or else. He put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. Again, Jeff, you're 13 years old. Okay, you know what? You are 13, so you're probably like in middle school at this point. So you probably would say something like this. But still. Oh, and what will you do? Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. Blah, blah, blah. Ooh, damn. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed, and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand, trying to Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. My God, I feel bad for Troy. As he fell, he puked all over. Louis could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. Yeah. You know, I don't know a whole lot about Jeff or Louis. I just know that they're big brother, little brother. Come on, Arthur, you have to develop the characters a little bit so I can, when Jeff does the cool action shit, I can be like, oh, Jeff Senpai! Oh my God! Jeff, how'd you... That was all he said. They saw the bus coming and knew they'd blame me for the whole thing, so they started running as fast as they could. As they run, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Louie met at school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Louie just thought of that as his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt powerful. He felt how powerful it was. The urge to just hurt someone. Bro, you just moved, and you suddenly got that feeling to hurt someone. I mean, if I learned more about your backstory, maybe if you had like maybe like some like maybe like a mental illness that drove you to these actions or something like that, I'd be like, oh my god, like this is nuts. This is getting pretty intense. But no, you're just some random edge lord kid off the side of the map. Man, I can see why people were scared of Jeff. They just saw the picture, man. They didn't read the story. If they read the story, they know how stupid the whole thing was. Were we that starved for horror content that this shit made headlines on the internet? Oh my god. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the entire day of school. Even if he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop, and how now he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore. He felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said, "Someone anonymous, I can't fucking speak. Um, and someone ominous. There we go. And someone ominous voice. It was a wonderful day. It was a wonderful day, senpai." Okay. Next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down to find two police officers at the door. His mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked three kids, that it wasn't regular fighting, and that they were stabbed." Stabbed! They were stabbed, son! I'm just kidding. It just says, "stabbed, son." Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Louie." "Son," said one of the cops. Quotation marks. Eh, See, the thing is, it's one of my pet peeves because one of the quotation marks near the word "cops" is on the word "cops," making it seem like it was a messed up error, and the said one of the cops was someone saying actually saying that line instead of being on the part on the actual word "we," which starts the next sentence. "We found three kids, two stabbed, one having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now, what does that tell us?" Jeff knew that it was no use. He could say him and Louie had been attacked, but then there was no proof it was not them who attacked first. So they're just gonna believe a bunch of kids like that? Like one of these misdemeanors? Like, especially if like, again, like I don't know if Jeff and Louie had been in this situation before. If they were, I understand like the suspicions and stuff, but come on. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing because, truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself for Louis. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it since it was him who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Louis tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." Cop looked at his partner, and they both nod. "Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie." "Wait," says Louis. They all looked up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Louis. They pulled their guns on a little kid. Oh, oh. "It was me. I beat up those little punks. Have the marks to prove it." He lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle. "Son, just put down the knife. Just put the knife down. I mean, it would be really cool if you kept it up, because I would have a chance to shoot you, and that would be pretty sweet, but don't put it down the knife," said the officer. He didn't actually say that last part, that was me. Louis held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. "No, Louis, it was me. I did it." Jeff had tears running down his face. "Huh, poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away." The police let Louis out of the patrol car. Wow. Man, that's just. Louis a real cool bro for that. Yeah. But why would they blindly believe Louis? And why would Louis like have this meter on him? And why would Louis sound badass being taken away to juvie? He's a little kid. He would be scared. He would be terrified. I don't even know if if I had a little brother, I would not know if he would actually take the fall to me. To be honest, it could just be that I'm a piece of shit, but still. "Louis, tell them it was me. Tell them I was the one who beat up those kids." Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. "Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Louis. You can stop." Excuse me? You're their mother. You should know whether or not Louis could have done something like that. And why did you just what? Did the mother just blindly believe the cops too? Just oh yep. Oh, my son was always a killer. Not my son Jeff, my son Louis. I always knew he had it in him. I don't feel bad though. Bye, Louis. Screw you, bitch. Like what? Like what is this? Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Louie inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled in the driveway, seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, what is it? Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back to the house, into the house, seeing that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. Well, Jeff's mom didn't really sound that sad. Wait, what's her name again? The characters are so forgettable, I don't even remember her name, even though I just read her name a few minutes ago. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Louis when it was his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by with no word from Louis at GDC. No friends to hang out with, nothing but sadness and guilt. That is, until Saturday, when Jeffers woke up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face. Bum bum bum. Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened up the curtains and let light flood into the room. What's today? Asked Jeff as he stirs awake. Why, it's Billy's party. He was now fully awake. Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after... There was a long pause. Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past days. She does not seem upset, huh? Now, get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get herself ready. He he fought himself to get up. He picked up a random shirt and pair of jeans and walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up, his mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why would they wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party? Actually, you know what? That's a legitimate question. Son, is that all you're gonna wear? Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother smiled down the feeling to yell at him, pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hit it with a smile. Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression, said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. I don't have any fancy clothes, he yelled on the stairs. Just pick something, called his mother. He looked around in the closet for what we call fancy. A pair of black dress pants, and he had it for special occasions, and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it, though. He looked around and found only striped and patterned shirts, none of which go with dress pants. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Finally, he found a white hoodie and put it on. You're wearing that? They both said. His mother looked at her watch. No time to change. Let's just go, she said as she heard father and his she said as she heard Jeff and his father out of the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door, and it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids. The kids are out in the yard. Jeff, how about you go meet some of them? Jeff went outside to a yard full of kids. They were running around in weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. Ooh, plastic guns. You might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. R.I.P. Toys R Us. Suddenly, a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and hat. Hey, wanna play? He said. Ah, no, kid. I'm way too old for this stuff. He's like 13. Too mad. The kid looked at him with that weird puppy dog face. Please, said the kid. Fine, said Jeff. He put on the hat and started to pretend to shoot at the kids. At first he thought it was totally ridiculous, but he started to actually have fun. It may not have been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that took his mind off of Louie. So he played with the kids for a while, until he heard a noise. Uh-oh, a weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence, waiting on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun. Oh, I was about to say the fuck gun. The fuck gun. Ooh. That'll be the next thing I record on Unreluctant Reading is the fuck gun. Sounds like some fanfiction stuff I have yet to read. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred. Hello. Jeff, is it? He said. We have some unfinished business. Jeff saw his bruised nose. I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you, and you get my brother sent to GDC. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. Oh no, I don't go down for even. I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses down one day, but not today. As he said that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Nose in the nose, and Jeff grabbed them by the ears and headbutted him. Waboom! Jeff pushed Randy off him, and both rose to their feet. Wait. Oh. Kids were screaming and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled. Wait. Troy and Keith both pulled guns out of their pockets. Little kids have fucking guns. I mean, well, that is America. So, anyways, not helping me. No one interrupts, or guts will fly. They said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed into his shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his heels. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabbed his foot and twisted it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the back door. Jeff just stood up and walked towards the back door. He walked casually towards the back door. Just imagine that. He got stabbed in the shoulder, dragged down, and suddenly he just gets up nonchalantly and just walks over to the back door. Troy grabbed him. Need some help? He picks Jeff up by the back of the collar and throws him through the patio door. As Jeff tries to stand, he is kicked down to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts coughing up blood. Come on, Jeff, fight me! He picks Jeff up and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. Okay, this is some pretty crazy ass action scene. Where is Jeff's mama? Where is the police? Why aren't the adults doing something? Did somebody just want to write an action scene because they felt like they wanted to? This makes no sense. Fight! He throws Jeff back into the living room. Come on, Jeff, look at me. Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. I was the one who got your brother sent to GDC, and I'm just gonna sit here and let him rot in there for a whole year? You should be ashamed. Jeff starts to get up. Oh, finally, you stand and fight. Jeff is now to his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once again, he gets a strange feeling, the one in which he hasn't felt for a while. Finally, he's up, says Randy as he runs at Jeff. That's when it happens. Something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him to the ground. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. Really? Straight in the heart? Jeff would know where the heart is? The punch causes Randy's heart to stop. As Randy gasps for air, Jeff hammers down at him, punch after punch. Blood gushes from Randy's body until he takes one final breath and dies. God damn. Pretty fucking nuts for a 13-year-old. Sweet mama bear Jesus. Everyone looking at Jeff now. Parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith. Well, they easily break from their cans and point their guns at Jeff. Jeff, seeing the gun trained on him, runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out fire and each shot missing. So the adults really are just watching this. They're not doing anything to stop them. They're just fucking watching. These are some sick ass fucking parents. As he runs, Troy and Keith let fire on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith follow up behind him. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks into the bathroom. He grabs the towel rack and rips it off the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. Troy swings his knife at Jeff. He backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Troy goes down hard, and now all that's left is Keith. He's more agile than Troy, though, and ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by the neck. He pushed him to the wall. A thing of bleach fell down on top of him from the top shelf. It burnt both of them, and they both started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes as best as he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lay there bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. Wait. A little kid just got killed. He's dying right now, and he lets out an ominous smile. What's so funny? Asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched on. What's funny, he said, is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol. Why? How would a little kid know this? Now, to be clear, we don't actually know their real ages. So these could actually just be older kids. I understand that, like, they can be like teenagers or whatever. But it's still pretty fucked up. We don't even know like the environment they're in. It's supposed to be like a fancy neighborhood in a special town. But this is so out of character for a fancy town. Man, this story just sucks. Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol in the vodka, while the alcohol burned him. The bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught on fire. He tried to roll out the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol had made him a walking inferno. He ran down the hall and fell down the stairs. Everyone started screaming as they saw Jeff, now a man on fire, dropped to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother and the other parents trying to extinguish the flame. That's when he passed out. When Jeff woke up, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything. He felt the cast on his shoulder, and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but then he realized there was some tube in his arm. And when he tried to get up, it fell out, and a nurse rushed in. I don't think you can get out of bed just yet, she said, and she put him back in bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there with no vision, no idea of what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mom. Honey, are you okay? She asked. Jeff couldn't answer, though. His face was covered, and he was unable to speak. Oh, honey, I have great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed to trying to attack you, they decided to let Louis go. It made Jeff almost bolt up, stepping halfway, remembering the tube coming out of his arm. He'll be out by tomorrow, and you two will be able to be together again. Jeff's mother hugs Jeff, and she says her goodbyes. Next couple of weeks where Jeff was visited by his family. Then came the day where his bandages were to be removed. His family were all there to see it, what he would look like. As doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats. They went until the last bandage holding the cover over his face was almost removed. Let's hope for the best, said the doctor. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screamed at the sight of his face. Louis and Jeff's dad just stare awestruck at his face. What happened to my face? Jeff said. He rushed to the bed and ran to the bathroom. He looked in the mirror and saw the cause of distress. His face, it's horrible. His lips were burned to a deep shade of red. His face was turned into pure white color, and his hair stingled from brown to black. He slowly put his hand on his face. It had some sort of leathery feel to it now. He looked back at his family, then back in the mirror. Jeff, said Louis, it's not that bad. Not that bad, said Jeff. It's perfect. What? His family were equally surprised. Jeff started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noticed that his left eye and hand were twitching. What? Not that bad. It's perfect. What? What? This doesn't make no sense. He just goes straight from that, and how would I even know that would something that would be natural for him to do? It just comes out of nowhere. Jeff, are you okay? Okay, I've never felt more happy. Ha 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 ha! Look at me. This face goes perfectly with me. He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at it in the mirror. What caused this? Well, you may recall that when Jeff was fighting Randy, something was in his mind. His insanity snapped. Now he was left as a crazy killing machine. That is, his parents didn't know. Oh my god. This is such like 2000s cringy, edgy stuff. It's almost unbearable to read through. Doctor, said Jeff's mom, is my son all right? In the head? Jeff's mom actually say that? Well, I don't know why you'd be asking me, because I wouldn't know, because there's no character development. Oh yes, this behavior is typically for patients that have taken large amounts of painkillers. If his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here and we'll give him a psychology test. Oh, thank you, doctor. His mother went over to Jeff. Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go. Just looks away from the mirror, his face still formed into a crazy smile. Okay, mommy. His mother took him by the shoulder and took him to get his clothes. This is what came in, said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mom looked down to see the black dress pants and white hoodie her son wear. Now they were clean of his blood and now stitched together. Jeff's mother led him to his room and made him put his clothes on. And they left, not knowing that this was their final day of life. More edge, more cringe, and not only that, unneeded exposition. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke to a sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw her in the sight. Jeff had taken a knife and carved a smile into his face, and smile into his cheeks. And this is where the image came. The image that terrified people. It was so unsettling, so unnerving. And this is I genuinely blame that image for the popularity that Jeff went through. Cuz it was that, and it was also people who didn't know any better and just enjoyed the story because they thought it was cool, even though it really wasn't. And I don't blame you guys. I understand, like, we were kids, I I I was terrified of Jeff the Killer myself. I never read the story. I only saw the images, and I only read the story like later on when I grew up. And I understand. I truly think if it wasn't for that image, if it was just a story, it would just been another thing on the background of the internet. Anyway, sorry about that. I digress. Jeff, what are you doing? asked his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother. I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while. Now I can smile forever. Jeff's mother noticed his eyes, ringed in black. Jeff, your eyes! His eyes were seemingly never closing. I couldn't see my face. I got tired and my eyes started to close. I burned out the eyelids so I can forever see myself. My new face. Wow. If that isn't the epitome of trying to be horror and just ending up failing. Jeff's mother slowly started to back away, seeing that her son was going insane. What's wrong, Mommy? Aren't I beautiful? Yes, son, she said. Yes, you are. Let me go get Daddy so he can see your face. She ran into the room and shook Dad from sleep. Honey, get the gun. She stopped and she saw Jeff in the doorway holding a knife. Mommy, you lied. That's the last thing they hear. That's the last thing they hear as Jeff rushes them with a knife, guiding both of them. His brother Louis woke up, startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he's on the border of slumber. Wait, he just heard some noise. He didn't hear freaking his parents dying. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he was on the border of slumber, he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up before Jeff's hand covered his mouth. He slowly raised the knife, ready to plunge it into Louis. Louis thrashed here and there, trying to escape Jeff's grip. Shh, Jeff said. Just go to sleep. And then there's the image. The image that terrified everybody. The image that got that got Jeff the Killer what he his popularity. And that's it. That's it for this reluctant reading. So basically, this was the epitome of, or how do you say it, the epitome of of the 2010s, of the internet age, of Slendermans and Jeff the Killers. And honestly, the story, obviously, it sucked. It was terrible. It was completely crappy, and it failed on almost every level to try to even be scary. It had an action scene that the story didn't need. It The adults were just horrible people. Jeff, for some reason, killed his brother, even though Louis was the one who protected him. And it just makes a whole bunch of no sense whatsoever. But as bad as the story is, I think, in a way, I don't really think it should have been taken down from the Creepypasta wiki. It's kind of a part of Creepypasta history. Obviously, it's not very scary, but it would have been nice to have it, like, archived on a website for, like, historic moments of the internet. Jeff the Killer, the only thing that was really scary about you was the image. And even then, after a while, eh. But, I will admit, it was fun having you part of my childhood. You gave me something to be terrified of, and to be honest, sometimes being terrified of things is just pure bliss. It's because as human beings, we crave horror. We crave being scared because it's one of those things that gives us a rush. Flight or fight responses that feed into our into little moments like that. Jeff the Killer just wasn't a story that was able to move anybody into being scared of him. The only thing that really scared him was the images and the videos and all the fake stuff. But even then, it was still a really big part of internet history, and I truly think Jeff the Killer does deserve a spot right there in the timeline of how the internet came to be the way it was today. Other than that, though, Jeff the Killer just sucked. It just sucked, absolutely sucked. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this late Halloween episode. I'm very sorry about everything. My life just got too hectic, and there were too many things happening at once, and I had to be doing so much crap. So I'm very sorry. I promise my next reluctant reading won't be too far away. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, I'll see you all later. Excuse me, I'm gonna go to sleep. Hello? Who's that? Oh my god! It's no one. I was just messing with you.